Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from astrolada.com, and many of you asked us to invite Trifon Nikolov, our Sidereal Babylonian astrologer, to explain to us what madness is happening in the world now. All the tension you're seeing, the fires, the tension between the States and Iran, to explain it astrologically, because he's an amazing mundane astrologer, the ones that can see the events for the whole of humanity. Hi, Trifon.
Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year for all. I'm sure it will be one of the best, as Jupiter and Saturn will be in their places, as well as many other planets throughout the year. To answer the question, what is going on now about this decision of the President Trump to attack on Iran? What I can tell is that Jupiter is coinciding with stars in the bow of Sagittarius. When you look at the sky in Sidereal Astrology, you will see Jupiter moving in Sagittarius and among the stars of the bow, which are known to be stars connected with war. Even more specifically, he is also connecting with the stars of the constellation, the Sword in English. They are with a very strong Martian nature, those stars, and the stars in the bow of Sagittarius has the nature of Jupiter and Mars. And so in this way, Jupiter decided to shoot with the bow, in this case, with the drone. And however, this is Jupiter, is showing probably the motivation is, there is some motivation probably in the right direction for that. But the fears that people have that this is like the world can be on the brink of a third world war, I don't think this is exactly so. This can be connected more with conjunctions, the wars, with conjunctions of Jupiter and Saturn that are happening in Aries, for example, according to Sidereal Astrology. Such conjunction happened in the year 2000, and soon after, war followed. This was the last such conjunction. Another one was in the beginning of the 40s, in the beginning of the Second World War. But now the coming conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn is more connected toward structurizing of the existing powers, because it is in Capricorn. So what we see is just merely the powerful countries in the world moving towards their interests. And so Jupiter activates the place of war in the heavens, but there are no so much other positions supporting big war. There was something that I was considering looking at the chart of the USA, the chart that is coming and associated with the astrologer Sibley in the middle, after the middle of the night on 4th of July, so early in the morning. So because there are two different charts, this is the one that I'm using. So there is something like Mars, who is progressed Mars connected with progressed medium Cele, midheaven. And this seemed to be scary, but I think this is more associated with the coming of Trump to power. For now, at least this is my opinion. So otherwise, it really looks very war-like position, Mars to culminate. For now, I'm researching this topic about this position of Mars, because every chart needs some validation, some research. However, this is my opinion, and about the fears about Third World War, I will add. I have heard, of course, I didn't heard this personally, but that Baba Vanga, the famous clairvoyant and considered by many as a saint today, from Bulgaria. So she, Baba Vanga, she said that there will be no third world war.
Yes,
The countries will find a way to
I know
solution
that
problems.
in Suduno, the teacher, in the last days of his life, 100 years ago, he said the powers above, they've decided there will be no third world war. So hopefully that will be true.
Yes, yes. Okay. And so, talking about Jupiter and his triggering the bow of Sagittarius, uh, I can say also more things about Jupiter that are important for this month, because this month is extremely important for the cycle of Jupiter. Jupiter, if you remember, is now invisible, which, among many other things, can mean that there is more lack of honesty and truth in these times, in these days, in general. And however, he will become visible soon. So for the different parts of the world is different. For the southern parts of the world, like closer to the equator, for example, like Florida, like Mexico, it will be visible around 12th of January. But for the northern parts, like for example around New York and similar places in Europe, for example, like France, like Bulgaria, I think the Jupiter will become visible around 22nd of January. And for the even more northern regions, like Scandinavian countries and Canada and so on, it will be even later. It will be even later towards the end of the month. So quite different for every place on the Earth. It means also different things. But also there are some common meanings. First, Jupiter in this way begins his cycle. So you know that Jupiter was entering in sidereal plane, Sagittarius in November, which was important, but at the time, I didn't comment much upon this, knowing exactly that soon after Jupiter will become invisible, and that this is in fact just first steps before the real beginning. And what is following now is that now we will see and feel the effects of Jupiter in Sagittarius, Jupiter in his own sign.
Finally we'll start.
Finally, and the beginning of the effects of Jupiter is this month.
Yay! So it's good news.
Yes, this is translated as very good news for almost anyone of us, like let's say 70% of all people. Yes, because you know the other 30% they will happen that Jupiter rules for someone 12th house or 6th house or 8th house, which can bring a crisis that leads to some positive transformation in their lives. But again, positive meaning, but through first suffering. However, for the remaining 70%, most of people, this will be extremely good position. As for many people, this will bring either like more vitality or better financial situation or love. Like for example, people who have rising Gemini in their horoscope in sidereal. This is in tropical is mostly Cancer. So those people, they will become much lucky in love, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so on and so on. So Jupiter in this way will first start to show what he's connected with, and this is principles and honesty and truth. So those things will abound much more this year in the world than in other years, and the beginning will be now. And so, of course, truth, you know, can be very challenging sometimes, but always leads to good results. Also, I can say that the desire for knowledge and knowing the truth to having spiritual development for all people in general will be more deep under the influence of Jupiter. And Jupiter is in a fiery sign, which also means that there will be action in accordance to such inner developments.
Tomorrow drives that push you towards positive actions.
Yes, Jupiter, however, also can expose whatever there is to be shown regarding mistakes, including about religion, philosophy, religion institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there will be some kind of exposing, showing the truth coming. Definitely. The balancing positive influence of Jupiter over all affairs, for that matter, and including it is a good year, but by the way, it's a good year to start a new learning, for example, to go into college, because under the beginning of Jupiter and Sagittarius to go into college, I think it's a good sign. Yeah.
Can you tell us why do you think the fire is in Australia? What's happening there? How is it shown in the stars?
Okay.
Isn't Australia under the influence of Sagittarius? I mean, a lot of astrologers say because Australians love to travel and their land is expansive and big and it's hot and it's like a lot of astrologers say you're basically that Australia is Sagittarius.
Okay. I will remind you what happened with a cathedral, Notre Dame, in the beginning of 2019. According to the sidereal rules of the year, we are still in the same time. So you remember the cathedral burned.
Mm-hmm.
There was heavy damage, and this was a sign from heaven. After that, we saw a lot of fires throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
The world started burning.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it like that. So, of course, we still see what was given as a sign to happen. The world is burning in many different ways, and literally too. And astrologically speaking, Australia is connected with the events in Australia. They are connected with the solar eclipse that happened at the end of 2019. Which eclipse was clearly in Sagittarius in both astrological systems, sidereal and tropical.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the sun is quite often connected with fires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had, okay, about Australians, I can give even some more questions for their souls, but some other day.
Their souls?
Let's not worry them.
Okay.
Okay.
They're saying that their political situation is really bad as well. They're like, I've been reading Australian friends' comments and they say it's very corrupt or something as well. So.
Yes, let's say the good things. Then, if Australia is connected with Sagittarius, then the presence now of Jupiter in Sagittarius shows as a result later good time for the country.
When it becomes visible.
Yes, when Jupiter becomes visible and throughout the entire year ahead, he will give a lot of positive developments for the country. So this is about to happen relatively soon.
Okay.
We can also accept that if Sagittarius rules Australia, that now Jupiter being invisible shows the weakness and bad condition of Australia, and that the positive development for them will come in just 2, 3, 4 days because Jupiter will rise sooner for them.
Yeah, they're south. Things will get better. Perfect.
Yes. So many other things are happening there. Not only Jupiter begins its cycle, which, by the way, has to be seen literally with your own eyes if you can do it like an astrologer.
In the next.
At least this is what they do in ancient times. They observed the beginning of a cycle of a planet, and there are certain rules for this. When you see it for first time, how it looks, where it is, and so on and so on. However, not only this is happening, but also soon there will be another eclipse, if you remember. And this eclipse will be this time in the Sidereal Gemini, where is also the full moon according to Sidereal Astrology. And it is quite interesting as it is mostly visible in Africa, Asia, and Europe. So probably the bad effects of this eclipse will be coming for those continents, but not for Americas so much, or at least I like to think so, because they will be not visible here. I think the most difficult effects of the coming eclipse will be for Eastern Asia, like Japan, and to the south, like Philippines, Indonesia, and so on. There can be some more bigger major disaster on the day or around the day of the eclipse. There is certain logic behind the statement, of course. However, this time the eclipse is also in opposition with Saturn, which the ancient texts are saying that this only is adding to the evil of the eclipse. So this eclipse will be a difficult one. On the other hand, close to the moon, that will be eclipsed. If you remember, the moon will be not eclipsed fully, so it's not so strong eclipse, which is also significant because the most difficult eclipses, they're the really full eclipses. So this is not like that. But Saturn is making it somehow worse than usual. However, there is a help, I think, there is a help from the fact that not only Saturn, but also Jupiter aspects the full moon and the eclipse. And in this way, I think it negates to a considerable degree the bad effects. So there is a kind of a balance, and there is helping one lucky star. One lucky star will be helping because she will be close to the moon in that time.
Castor?
This is the star Castor, yes. So I think this star will help so that this eclipse will be not after all so bad. Maybe through the powers of the star, like the help for this can come from people who are like more talented in art, or in general, people who are strongly connected with culture. Such people may prevent the bad effects of this eclipse coming to reality for other people.
Was Castor
and in general, in many other mysterious ways, of course, mystic ways. So let's say that this eclipse is not looking for now so bad.
Okay, good.
As usual. But of course, for people who will be affected exactly by the degree of the eclipse is different. This is always like that for them.
That's around 20 degrees tropical Cancer.
I think also that this eclipse, sometimes, maybe you know, the eclipses are starting to act before they happen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think this already started to act. So why? The eclipse is in the sign of transportation. It is in a sign that is, according to the ancients, associated with Iran, by the way, with Persia, which is Iran and Iraq. Persia was Iran and Iraq. So we can see exactly. So for them, of course, it's difficult.
And the eclipse is happening, it's passing over them. They're seeing it. They're seeing the full eclipse of the moon.
Yes, so for them, it's more difficult. But it is also in the sign of transportation. So around the day of the eclipse, probably it's not so good to travel. There can be dangers. There can be further dangers for.
There was a plane that crashed.
For flight. Yes, in Iran. around. They even suspect that it was hit by a rocket. So the eclipse happening in the sign of transportation Gemini, better not to fly around the days of the eclipse. The previous day, the day of the eclipse, so 9th, 10th, 11th of January.
And be careful with cars and any kind of transport.
Yes. And so this is about the eclipse. An eclipse is a very huge and complex thing. It can be commented 1 hour at least.
Yeah.
So, but I will now comment upon other things too, because there are a lot of things happening in January. Just will remind you that in Sidereal Astrology, so depending on the exact way of calculation you can use in astrology, Saturn is entering Capricorn this month. But according to the way that I'm using, it is entering Capricorn on the last day of this month. According to the usual way of calculation of Vedic astrologers, it's already there. So Saturn enters Capricorn. This will definitely lead to accepting more responsibilities for anyone. And because of this, also it will lead to more successful people in general. However, also ancient texts are saying that when Saturn enters Capricorn, it is unleashing more destructive powers. But by the simple saying that Saturn in Capricorn can be destructive, we have to understand that Saturn is a planet of justice, and he will not destroy anything that he has not reason to destroy, like consequences for the actions, or coming of the fructification of some past karma. Yeah. So you don't have to fear Saturn. Saturn in Capricorn is coming to give structure, to give order to things, and to society. And if needed, there will be some more harsh actions about it. So this is about Saturn. Of course, this is also something that I can comment a long time. Let's say that for different countries is different. This is mostly important for the Balkans, for India, for Mexico, and so on. And for the places where it is known that there is a long trace back in history. There are such places. Something else also will happen. So if you remember when I talked about in December that Saturn will become invisible, I said also that people who are bad people, like really bad people, will meet their deserved end.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? In past years, when Saturn was becoming invisible, this also was happening. This is what I noticed. That's why I'm saying this. And this time, it seems that it's already like that again, like that. They're accusing, for example, this general that has been ordered to be executed from Trump to be connected with the death of hundreds and even hundreds of thousands and even millions of people.
Oh, wow.
This is what they comment about him. So we can only see the connection here of the invisible Saturn and what happened. Something else, while Saturn is invisible, which will be still for this month, it will become visible next month in different days for different countries. While Saturn is invisible, also in the period that now follows, there will be noticeable lack of justice. Yes, this is of course that. This is the protective power of Saturn, the justice. This time, he's not here now, so to say, not visible. So that's why I was talking that this time is still problematic. But now first Jupiter will make it much better. And even though Saturn is still invisible for the month, Mercury, who is also invisible now, will become visible in the end of the month, around 25th of January. So between 23rd and 26th of January for the entire world. Yes. So, and Jupiter and Mercury will appear in the sky together. Maybe together we'll have to observe. At least in some parts of the world, it will be together with the moon. The moon also will be invisible in the last 23rd, 24th of January. And they can become visible together, which can be very significant. For example, for the time after that, for the end of the month, to be a good time for starting and pursuing intellectual activities or trade, for example.
Business, writing, speaking activities, yeah.
Yes, so of course they have to be connected more, I think, because of the place where Mercury will be appearing. I think such activities, especially intellectual, has to be connected more like for the social well-being. Yes. Sadly, the appearing of Mercury, I think it will be a dangerous time for traveling. Mercury will appear with one star that is known to be that one, the star shaft. He will appear close to the place of the ray of the star, only 2 degrees from the star. And this star, you know, was connected with much drama. She is of the nature of Mercury and Mars. And when Mercury appears there, this can be a sign of realization for many people for their problems. Also maybe giving them the ability to heal from their problems, but also to see them. And in general, it's not a good moment to travel or to make exactly in this moment or the next 2-3 days. So let's say that after 29th, then we can proceed with things. Before that, probably don't travel. Be careful for the condition of the people in general, especially those ones who are more vulnerable psychologically, including younger people, as Mercury shows younger people. And so, in this way, Mercury there sadly shows the danger of some major accident happening somewhere in the world. Again, this can be connected with airplanes, but also it can be connected also with ships and so on. Mercury connected with difficult star. This star even was, yes, she has many different meanings. I will not describe them now, but they are all in the same direction. Okay. So the good effect of Mercury will be spirituality as a result. But also, until Mercury is now invisible, it's not a good time to have negotiations, to have new deals, contracts. And you naturally see now in the news how this is a really difficult time for such things. Like, for example, it seems impossible to have negotiations between USA and Iran, or probably there are some difficulties connected with China too. And in general, the condition for the trade, of course, will be not so good. Only because the god of trade, Mercury, is invisible.
It's trade, it's business, it's services, type of thing.
Yeah, so don't make important deals and contracts right now. If you do, then you can have problems.
What about if you're trying to buy property? Signing stuff.
Okay, Mars is the planet connected with property, and Mars is in good condition.
Okay.
But they can find property. They can make some preparations, but better to wait for signing
Mercury to become
for
visible.
the end of the month. Yes.
Mm.
Okay. So you can make the initial steps, but the signing must be in the end of the month. This is what I think. Okay, these days, because I have commented for the reading about 2020, I made a short reading about 2020, if you remember here, and I mentioned there that this year is similar to the year 1960, the beginning of the decade at that time, and that this was the year when JFK was elected for president, and this was the year when the war in Vietnam started. So these are quite striking meanings and similarities. Now even the year is beginning, but we have already some tension on military level. However, also the association with the JFK election is also important because, and this is not unknown for the world. There is this thing that is called the curse of Tecumseh.
At the what?
The Indian chief Tecumseh and his curse against American presidents. Long ago, before 200 years, he speaks after having big losses from the government of USA for his tribe. With his, I think, clairvoyant abilities, it's not. Well, I think it's not a curse. I think it was clairvoyance. And he said, however, that in every 20 years, if I remember right, some American president will be threatened or die. And we can see now that the model of the 20 years is there, because if you follow back history, like for those 20 years, after the year 60 for the elections, I mean, so the year 60, the year 80, when Reagan was elected, and before that for other presidents, and you will see how every one of the presidents elected in those years was seriously threatened for his life in different ways, or even literally killed. They tried to kill Reagan, if I remember, right? Succeeded for JFK and for other presidents, for not for anyone, not for absolutely anyone, but for most of them, they really ended their lives. Some of them remained alive, but have problems like health problems or attempt for assassination. And so this is now such a year that such a president, no matter who he is, okay, I will not comment upon this right now, but whoever will be elected this year will be in this time frame that is shown by the clairvoyance of the Indian chief Tecumseh, and there is a astrological reason behind all this. Yes. The astrological reason is not far away from logic. It is connected with the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction that is coming. When you use the astrological chart of the astrologer Sibley, that is around Okay, I will tell you exactly when it is. So it is for 4th of July, 1776, 2 a.m., 21 minutes in Philadelphia. And for this chart, in Sidereal Astrology, we will see there is the rising sign is Taurus. So USA have the rising sign Taurus. Much can be commented upon this, of course. But this means that Jupiter is the ruler of the 8th house.
Death.
And then when we see the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn every 20 years, in the year that is connected with the conjunction, when the president comes, this president is threatened.
Wait, in that chart, Saturn will be the ruler of the 10th house president and Jupiter the 8th. Death.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Exactly. And it is working like a clock. Yes, and the astrological chart is true. And this is the logic there. Big news. Big news. This is very big news.
Someone will be there might be an attempt or a threat for the life of a president within the year 2020, or the president who will be elected in 2020, his life.
Who will be elected? Who will be elected? I'm not commenting which year there can be danger for the president.
Is the president
something else? Also, I already know it, by the way, but I will not comment upon it.
What do you know? Sorry.
The year, and I know the year, and I know the year.
That the president will be attempted.
When the president can be somehow in danger for his health or in other way. And I saw the year, but the meaning here is the year of elections, that whoever is elected in this time, associated with the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, has a great chance of being in danger. That's it. That is the logic, and most of the cases, or most all of the cases, almost all, this is working.
Do you think President Trump will be re-elected this year, or you haven't looked for that?
Still haven't looked. For now, I think it will be extremely difficult someone else to be there. Not for something else, only because of the nature of the strength of the chart for leadership of Trump. But of course, I will have to check other candidates when they appear. But for now, it seems it will be very difficult someone else to be there, but of course not impossible. So we'll see. We'll see. For now, Trump, he has this star of emperors and kings.
Yeah.
So if someone else comes, it must have something like that at least. But this is not coming to anyone to have in his chart. So still, this is not a prediction, okay? We'll have to check.
Okay, yeah, we'll check the new candidates when they come.
But the prediction is there for the president that will come, whoever he is. And something else, in the last, some of the true predictions that I made in the last couple of years were that Spain will have a lot of troubles. This came to be true. There were almost rebellion in Barcelona against the Spanish government, and so on. Other problems also were there on the Iberian Peninsula, like big fires in the past. And now what I can say is that they will go out of the problems and the crisis as Saturn is exiting their sign, which is Sagittarius. And Jupiter will remain. And Jupiter will bring more balance. And however, also will show important truths for Spanish people, inevitably leading to the good development of the country. So, yes, welcome Jupiter Spain. Something else I wish to comment. Okay. important people of spirituality, like even religious officials, can have big problems towards 21st, 25th of January. Also, about the promises for retaliation of Iran, I think important dates about this can be the middle of this month, around 14, 15 of January. I have my reasons for that. So we will see.
Well, the good news is that we think there will be, you're calming people and saying there's not going to be a third world war, guys. Don't worry. Things will really start getting better when Jupiter becomes visible and Saturn is entering its own constellation. So things will really stabilize and become good. So on that positive note, maybe thank you, Trifon, so much for your amazing in-depth knowledge. If anyone would like a personal reading with Trifon using sidereal ancient Babylonian methods, you can contact him. I'm going to leave the details underneath in the description or in cards. And I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen and to catch up again with you, Trifon, after the new moon towards the end of the month, so we can talk about February.
Yes, we will talk soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.